Christ has set us free. No longer are we under the burden of law, no longer justified by works and sacrifices of man. It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. There's a hinge. There's a fulcrum. There's a key to unlock this kind of freedom in our lives. I don't want us to be mistaken. Like our democratic freedom, this is not a pass to do whatever we like, to harm ourselves by our own foolish choosings. Tell them we said hi. It's okay.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. It is as the I'd rather laugh about it. It's just fun, isn't it? It is as the Greek scholar Robertson once wrote. There is no such thing as absolute freedom, personal freedom, for that is anarchy. So what's that key? Here it is. Here's the key to unlocking freedom like you've never known it before. It's a new word for most of you. That's expected. It's a Greek word, at least in the language that you're going to learn today. It comes from the Greek, and it hinges on that word that we learned earlier about suppression, but it's a little different. That was doulia. This is doulos. If I say it, doulos. Don't you feel smarter? You don't even know what you said. Don't you feel smarter? Here's what it is. Here's what doulos is. Doulos is your key to freedom. Doulos, when you put this word to action in your life, you're not going to believe the outcome. It's amazing, doulos. So wait, here it is, aren't you? It's powerful. It's our key to really living free. It's found in its original form more than 150 times in the New Testament. It has been, for political correctness, for the last 500 years, nearly mistranslated, if I may use that word, perhaps more than any other word in the entire New Testament. It doesn't matter which translation you use, King James, Modern King James, ESV, CEV, NIV, all of those things, RSV, on and on and on. They all offer a poor translation in order not to be offensive to the reader. You know, I find that happens sometimes with the Bible. Too often we try to nice up what the most direct translation was. It doesn't change the truth or the absolute truth, but sometimes it causes us to lose the punch and the power. This is one of those times. In Titus 1:1, if I may read and interject the correct Greek word, Paul would write Paul, a doulos. What he wrote was Paul, a slave. Doulos, a slave by choice. Slave. But see, no one liked that word. It was too political. It was too offensive. It was too controversial. I got news for you. God's word is controversial. God's word ruffles feathers. It sounds backwards, though, when we think about the concept, doesn't it? To be truly free, you must decide to be a slave. Does that make any kind of sense? To be truly free, you have to make the conscious decision to be a slave. I want to share something with you. You are already a slave. To something. To something. I don't know what it is. God knows. This is where God is so amazingly awesome. Maybe you're a slave to inappropriate behavior. Is your life consistently held captive by thoughts or actions that are separating you from all that you want to have and be in Christ Jesus? Are you involved in a destructive lifestyle or choices thereof that are wrecking your health, your family, your marriage, your children? It even could be, if even one of those is true, just one. And there are so many. Maybe you're a slave to shopping. Maybe you're a slave to the internet. Maybe you're a slave to going away. But you can be free. So you don't have to stay where you are. And I want you to know that I know it feels like you have to stay there. I know that you, in some of those cases, for some of you, you have areas of bondage and slavery in your lives that then you tried and you tried and you tried, and the key there is you have tried. I want you to have some comfort this morning. I want you to know that the bonds that encompass you, the bonds that ensnare you, are too strong. And I want to tell you the truth, you can't break them. You can't. You are bound like a slave in chains, like a slave in shackles, that are too strong for you to break. But you can be free. It's not magic. It's not hocus pocus. It's certainly not easy, but you can be free. Believers, Christ followers. 1 Corinthians 6 tells us that we are bought with a price. Do you ever think about what that means? You've been bought with a price. You are called to be doulos. You are bought to be slaves to the master. I think one of the perspectives that we lose as we look at what we're taught in our history books of our modern America, and we get a perception about this word slavery and about what it looks like and feels like and how it was perpetrated on those individuals that were held captive and enslaved. As we do biblical studies, we begin to find that in many cultures and cases in the past, slavery was a different animal than how we see it and understand it to be in our experience in our United States. Slavery was, in fact, a great responsibility for the master to care for, to provide for, to make sure that their needs were taken care of. It was not a situation of abuse. It was a situation of responsibility for. The slaves loved their masters, and the masters loved their slaves. And it was a completely different concept than our American mentality. And so I ask you this morning if you will consider remembering that we were bought with a price, that we are asked in Galatians 5, and we're taught, and we talk about it in 1 Corinthians 6, and we talk about it in Titus, and on 150 times in the New Testament, that we are called to be a slave. What does that mean? That means that we give up ownership of who we are, and we allow Christ to have complete control of our lives. You know, when we do that, that's when we quit. That's when we quit fighting and pushing against an immovable object. The bondage that holds us, the bondage that ensnares us. We're not big enough and strong enough. We don't have the key to unlock that bondage. Christ does. Christ does. But until we belong to Him, until we are His property bought with His price, until we give ourselves over wholly and completely to His ownership, to Him as the master of our life, the Lord of our life. And He's enough of a gentleman. He's not going to force His way in to begin to release His bonds. Being a slave is true freedom. Being a slave is freedom beyond what we've ever experienced before. So I would ask you this morning to consider accepting the Christ who gave us freedom that we might truly be free. And that we might live lives where we quit trying to fill out all the good person check marks and begin to become obedient to Christ and allow Him to set us free from areas of bondage that the Holy Spirit brings to us in our prayer time, in our quiet, in our times that we are in communication with God. Let Him set you free, that we might be free indeed. In closing, would you please allow me just to pull a couple of verses out of context in order to combine them and create a singular thought. But I do want you to know I'm pulling this out of context when I read. God proved His love for us in this. while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Don't you know that you were bought with a price? For it is freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery. Father, on this 4th of July holiday celebration weekend, we are thankful for the freedom of our nation and of our country. Moreover, we are thankful for the freedom, Lord Christ, that you have given to us, bought with a price. That you have set us free from the burden of slavery, from the yoke of the law that we can't live up to, but we can learn how to say, yes, Lord. We can learn how to submit to you. We can learn how to choose to be your slaves and let you be the master of our life. Help us to make that decision and that choice, not just today, but after we leave this place today, after we go back into our world and live our daily lives, that we might be ever present in our thought, that we are yours and yours alone. Send us out now in your grace and your peace, and we know that we reside in your love. In the authority of Christ we pray. Amen. Amen. God loves you and I love you. Go in his peace and his grace.